Gretchen, this really spawned a movement, didn't it? People sort of got together, they had happiness groups, they embarked on their own unique happiness projects. How did this happen?
Well, you know, I was so gratified and thrilled that people sort of grabbed onto this idea of like, it's totally manageable. I'll just set myself some realistic resolutions to try in my everyday life. And so people, some did it by themselves, their own happiness projects. Some people got together in groups and did it. People are doing it in schools. So it's just thrilling to me to be engaged with readers in this way. And because I have a blog and Facebook and all this, I can really hear from them what they're doing. And that's very valuable to me.
I think one of the things, Sonia, that you believe is that it is within your control. And like everything, it does take some work to be happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it takes work maybe every day for the rest of your life.
And discipline.
And
so
discipline
it has
and
to be
commitment.
kind of a conscious decision. It's not something that just kind of falls on your lap. You can actually key into things that will improve your emotional well-being.
That's right. As long as you don't focus too much on, am I happy? And just focus on the goals that you're pursuing, and happiness is going to be the byproduct of that.
All right. Well, these three ladies were so nice to go through sort of a happiness boot camp of sorts. But first, they told us what they felt was standing in their way of a sunnier day. Here's Karen.
I come home at the end of the day and I am so tired that I snap at my family, my kids, and my husband. I'm hoping that a happiness project will help me to be a happier person at home with my family, and also focuses on me taking care of myself. You want to help me?
Okay.
Look. Is that the piggy's eye?
Yeah.
The Happiness Project has really helped me because it forces you to carve out that time no matter how busy you are. All right, so I just arrived and it's about 10 minutes until the kayak tour starts. I love to be out on the water, and I learned that every now and then I need to just ask for an hour by myself or some time to go kayaking or whatever I need to do to kind of stay sane.
And Karen's in our audience. And Karen, you know, yeah, let's give Karen a round of applause. I know you're a working mom, you've got kids, so you came home, you felt like you were sort of out of gas, but then you had to focus on your kids. So the bottom line, between your work and your kids, you had very little time for yourself. Was it hard to kind of say, I'm doing this without feeling sort of selfish about it?
That is difficult, and I think that's why on a daily basis I have trouble asking for that time. And because this is a project, because it was written down, because it was measurable, it almost gave me permission in a way to ask for things that I normally wouldn't. And I think that's why it was helpful for me.
And this really bears out the point that focusing on yourself and your personal happiness, actually, I mean, we've heard this in every women's magazine, right? Since, you know, for the last 20 years, but spending some time on yourself actually does make you a better partner, a better mother, a better friend, really a better everything, right?
That's right, and you can justify that. It's not just about me and I'm getting more pleasure, that you're actually going to improve your relationships and your work and your health as well.
All right, well, let's take a look at Lisa's story.
I'd like to focus in the next 2 weeks on making sure that my financial health is a priority. I really love magazines, so I went and picked up these two. One's about money, one's about success with your money. I actually went on the web, looked for certified financial planners. That was the easy part. The more difficult or challenging part is my homework, which is for me to start going through my bills and, you know, my in and out cash flow expenses. Today's experiment is to see if I can take my love of reading, I love this book, and my like of my bike, and if I combine the two, it will make, hopefully, exercise more fun.
So Lisa, how did doing these things improve your happiness level?
I really saw a noticeable change. I got very focused on both looking at exercise as well as my finances. And I had read a study about if the more you exercise, the richer you can be. So I saw that correlation as well, had more energy to focus on it, and looking at my finances was no longer as scary. I had less fear around it. I met with a financial planner, and instead of having trepidation, I left there actually excited to really work on it.
Well, it must have been very calming too, because isn't it confronting the uncomfortable, having something hanging over your head?
Oh,
it creates a lot of stress and anxiety. It's like when you clean your house, don't you feel so much better when you kind of declutter? And is that sort of the same thing we're seeing here?
Yeah. One of the crazy things is how much outer order contributes to inner calm. So something just like cleaning your closet does help you feel more energy and good cheer. And for some reason, exercise seems to be this magical thing that really does let loose a lot of good habits and good practices. It seems to help people move in the right direction.
All right, well now let's take a look at Darlene and what she did in her happiness boot camp.
I have been a collector for years. I also am the recipient of a lot of sort of family memorabilia. What used to buoy me up is now weighing me down. I'm going to pare down my possessions. I'm going to keep what's meaningful and get rid of the rest. Oh dear, this one's like so chock full that it's hard to get the drawer open. I have 15 bags that I donated to Goodwill. One thing that was very difficult for me at the outset about this whole happiness project was the challenge that I was given. I have a secret. No one knows I don't know how to swim. I'm afraid of the water. I've gotten my fear of the water under control, and my ultimate goal is to be able to do laps.
So Darlene, good for you for learning how to swim, and I think it's fine. Your secret is safe with us. Nobody's gonna know, but what has that done for you to actually face your fear of the water and get in there and try to learn to swim laps?
It was a lifelong fear. It has been a lifelong fear. So when I read Gretchen's newest book and I realized that she faced her fear of driving and being in control, I looked in the mirror and I said, okay, if she can do that, I'm going to try this. But when I got in the water the first time, I was terrified. And my children don't know that I didn't know how to swim. So I've gone 21 years without them knowing.
But now that you have spent, I mean, are you starting to feel more comfortable in the water?
Absolutely. I have a terrific swim instructor. Her name is Meredith, and she's just been terrific with me to work with me like you would with a child. And so I think I'm going to learn to swim, and I'm really excited. It's like you don't know at first, but it's a burden. And now it's not a burden anymore.
So it's really an obstacle for you to feeling content and happy.
But I didn't realize it until now, so thank you.
How is sort of having these fears or having these anxieties, how are they kind of obstacles to a feeling of happiness?
They really weigh you down. I mean, that's exactly the way I felt with driving. Like I wanted to drive, but I rarely thought about it. But when I focused on it, I realized that it really was making me feel very uncomfortable, and it was closing down my life in ways that made me very sad when I thought about it. And by confronting it, even I still really do not like to drive. But I can drive, and it's such a feeling of accomplishment and progress. But I hear about people public speaking, going to cocktail parties, flying. There's a lot of things that people take for granted in their everyday life, but there's a small number of people who are really afraid of it. And when you just come out and grapple with it, just that feeling of progress towards it, and that it's not this festering secret anymore, makes you feel a lot better.
And Sonia, it seems to reinforce kind of one of your major points for happiness. It was connectedness. What was the second one?
So basically, we're happy when we satisfy the three basic human needs: connectedness, autonomy, and competence. So it gives you a sense of competence to accomplish something like that.
Not only competence, but also control. Right? Because I guess 2 and 3 are kind of wrapped up in Gretchen's learning how to drive and Darlene learning how to swim, right?
Absolutely.
And that your actions really can have an impact on your emotional well-being. I think just knowing that, too, gives you a sense of empowerment, which leads to happiness.
That's right. You know, a lot of people think that happiness is something you either have it or you don't. And when you realize that you can actually control it, absolutely, then you can take that first step.